Thank you for this opportunity to meet again. And as I have constantly pointed out, I lean over backwards to not to appear as a try to impress you as being a medical or scientific expert, but more as a messenger and servant of now 36 years of empiric observations, though there have been pilot studies and surveys and even some formal medical school based study done to support the power of nutrition in everyday life, because the biochemistry of life is conducted with the molecules that are in your diet. I was asked to go over the ingredients in New Eden, which is the formulation of mixed nutrients that seem to be low or missing in the modern food chain, since we plowed up our gardens and chopped down our orchards, and we're getting fruits and vegetables from the agricultural system that are picked green before the genes in the plant can put the nutrient molecules that the genes in our cells call for to be ingredients to make bioactive compounds run the biochemistry of life. And how did I come to find these? Well, first, a decade was spent at Carrington Laboratories as a consultant, and we were amazed at the broad benefits of the active acetylated primary sugar that's in aloe leaf gel. It has benefits in metabolism of our cells and in cellular synthesis. We can note the very special place that a membrane domain exists with 9 molecules of acetylated mannose, principal saccharide or sugar that is present in the aloe leaf gel. Then for a decade, I was a medical director for an international dietary supplement company that was all over North and Central America, but also 10 foreign countries. And I lectured in all of these, and I kept my ears open. And there were people that would take our product, a high percentage, and it would supply what was missing from their diet, and they would get wonderful health benefits. But there were those that didn't get a benefit despite taking large amounts of what we had put together as ingredients. And they found either on the web or coming in on their computer or even in another company, a principal flagship product that contained a nutrient molecule that was not in what we had, and that corrected their health deficiencies. So I made a mental note not to forget this, so that in the future, that might be something important to add to the formulation to correct the deficiencies in the modern food supply. And I've kept that in mind and incorporated it in New Eden, but that didn't stop it. In addition, periodically, the Food and Drug Administration has attacked different companies because the companies or their distributors have made health improvement claims for a nutrient molecule, and that is against federal law. Only a FDA-approved pharmaceutical can claim to improve a disease or syndrome or correct an abnormal health condition. But I noted that if a company was attacked by the FDA, they must have something important or they would not be attacked. So I kept that in mind to also add that to the formulation that is known as New Eden. In addition, with some of the formal studies, we found out that after about 10 years, they were generating millions of adult stem cells, but it was limited, and this is not generally known. There are different types of stem cells dedicated to different areas in the body and different organs, and the active ingredient from the aloe was only generating cell domain number 14 stem cells. So in searching the literature worldwide, I found other ingredients that increase the release of CD34s, 131s, and CD45 stem cells that increase the capacity of more comprehensive nutrition to regenerate and restore normal health. I've been asked to go through the ingredients, and a very helpful thing is to go to Google, because Google is particularly written for lay understanding, most of the time to try to use words and terminology of the common street language, and it's easier to comprehend. And you can put health benefits of in the blank, put the ingredients or any natural substance you're interested in, and then push the search, and it'll get a list of what's there. More scientifically is a database called PubMed, and it has 34 million citations of different papers and all that support the power of more comprehensive nutrition, but it's in a more scientific language, and it's more difficult for many people to understand. But with this, we will move on to what we were asked to do, is to go through the ingredients of New Eden and why it's there and what the benefits are. With that, we'll turn on the PowerPoint presentation. Thank you. This is our first slide from the ingredients that we talk about that are in New Eden, and just sort of mention that the most important, in my opinion, ingredient in New Eden is the aloe leaf gel, acetylated mannose, for short is called Acemannan. And this key ingredient was developed by Carrington Laboratories that raised $20 million for research to make a new FDA viral drug. And I was asked to be a consultant for the company in their work with the Food and Drug Administration. And we found that this Acemannan supports in the metabolic activity of the cells, all body systems, through gene functions that attempt to establish a balance or a homeostatic zone in the biochemistry for multiple organ systems in the biochemical step cascades. What we found out is that this molecule far exceeded our initial attempt to try to make a new drug that was antiviral, but it was found to be safe, effective, and extremely economical in terms of comparison to any pharmaceutical drug. And the benefits where it is used 9 molecules in a step in cellular synthesis in the endoplasmic reticulum. That's where this money was spent with academic institutions to try to determine exactly what was happening with this molecule. And benefit with this domain for cell-to-cell instructions produce health benefits and restorations far beyond anything we thought would be possible. And what it was doing is supporting normal biochemistry and physiology. It's not treating or curing disease. Then we spoke of humate is a source of 70 plus minerals, and we'll briefly mention that again. But the next thing I want to mention is that flaxseed powder is an ingredient, and it was found in the literature to generate CD34 and 131 adult stem cells for 2 areas in the body's organs that if there is a deficiency in those organs, it can help restore function. The reason I was looking for this is because the Aloe Acemannan only increased the CD14 stem cells, and that they were incredibly powerful in patients that had acquired immunodeficiency syndrome and fetal alcohol syndrome damage to the brain, and even in adult Alzheimer's studies. You can Google the health benefits or PubMed for flaxseed, and you'll be impressed by the information that's there, that's independent, third party, non-biased information about the power and nutrition of flaxseed. In addition, there's hemp seed powder that was originally sought because of the political benefits to the dietary supplement industry. For decades, it was against federal law to even bring a hemp seed into the United States that can be germinated. However, political action committees were formed in each state with a design to change that law, and in fact, they did it. And I developed a video for these political action committees to tell them all the benefits that you can find by Googling or PubMed health benefits of hemp seed. And this list is impressive, and I invite you to look at this list, but do not forget, it's against federal law to inform the public or professionals of such natural or nutritional benefits. By law, an FDA pharmaceutical drug can represent, claim, or improve health. And that DNV is do not violate with exclamation points. I think that you should know that PubMed is a more scientific content than Google, and PubMed is over 34 million citations. Now, the third ingredient that I want to go to is rice bran. There are extensive scientific publications supporting the nutritional value of rice bran. You can just stop and think. There are millions on Earth that eat rice. And as the population of Earth continues to expand, it's particularly high in the regions where rice is eaten. Now, rice bran is classified as a functional food in Japan under the Functional Food Act of Japan, and it's noted for being a low allergy protein. And one should know that brown rice is far more nutritional than white rice, which is produced by a mechanical process to remove the rice bran from the coating of the seed. Now, the literature claims there are over 453 individual phytonutrients or phytochemicals in rice bran, and it's primarily in the seed coat. However, in the cotyledon, there is nutrition to support the little sleeping embryo in the rice grain, and there's a food supply there to support activity and development of that little embryo until there's first leaf and root and photosynthesis is turned on. That's a remarkable benefit or aspect of life, and that the brown seed coat is a biopolymer that protects the little embryo and the food supply from being too hot, too cold, too wet, too dry, and actually retards some microorganisms that would like to consume the nutrients that are provided in there for the little sleeping embryo. Now, of these 453, 209 are found to be critical and beneficial phytonutrients. And there are amino acids with cofactors in the bran and the rice grain. Important are fatty acids 3, 6, and 9 in optimal ratios. There's also alpha lipoic acid and lecithin, which are very important in the metabolism of our cells, particularly the lecithin in the nervous system. In the vitamin spectrum, the highest level of vitamin E is in rice bran. Also, you have representatives of the vitamin B complex. You find minerals, potassium, magnesium, manganese, and other low-level trace minerals, but the magnesium and potassium are particularly involved in neural transmission. In addition, in the rice bran, there is what's called IP6 or inositol. It's the alcohol nucleus of the sugars or saccharides that are used in cellular synthesis, but they have a phosphate molecule on every carbon, 6 of them. And sugars cannot be utilized in cellular metabolism until a phosphate molecule or radical has been added to the sugar to elevate its energy level so that it can enter into metabolism. So having IP6 there is a good source of organic phosphates for carbohydrate metabolism. In addition, coenzyme Q10 is present in the bran, and this supports the energy production in mitochondria. And it's active in free radical and antioxidant protection, which is desirable for the heart and cardiovascular system. It reduces macular degeneration in the eye. It is believed to decrease dementia, weakening of memory and cognition. And it's very essential to have coenzyme Q10 in your diet if you're taking any of the statin drugs, which block energy production in the mitochondria. The rice bran is a source of plant sterols that support the synthesis of hormones. And then there are carotenoids, which are antioxidants that protect us against deviations from normal, that formal science and medicine call diseases or syndromes. They are particularly provitamin A carotenoids that are converted to vitamin A. And this is essential for growth, immune system function, and eye health. So you can understand why rice bran is so vital a component in New Eden. In addition, in New Eden, we have plant sterols called the species Dioscorea, or the Mexican yam. And this is a complex molecular structure that, if you could see my pointer, it is a source of this cyclopentanoperhydrophenanthrene ring, which cholesterol and all the hormones are built upon by adding, as you can see down here for cholesterol, this C18, adding this these molecules here, but you have this basic A, B, C, D structure here. And I like to think of this as like providing to the metabolism in the body this ring, which is like prefabricated unit that's used in building construction. So the body can take these plant sterols and in its metabolism generate cholesterol, which is an essential component of every cell, but can be very damaging if it's too high. That's one of the things about the body and its biochemistry. There's a zone for healthy, normal levels of things, but if they're too low or they're too high, this causes a deviation from normal. So that's why we have the Dioscorea, or Mexican yam, as an ingredient, is a prefab unit for the body to make cholesterol, which is essential to health in every cell wall, and to make the hormones. The next component is a special bentonite clay and it has an interesting long history that I won't dwell on. But it was developed by a faculty member at Texas A&M School of Veterinary Medicine, and it was found to bind aflatoxin, which is a product made by fungus that are in the grain supply, and aflatoxin is a primary cause for cancers of the gastrointestinal tract, particularly colon cancers. And he received a World Health Organization award because of a study done in Africa, which was a small nation in the moist, tropical, warm zone, where fungus really would grow in all the grain supply. And by adding this to the processed grains, in very short order, the incidence of colon cancer dropped from the highest incidence in the world to that about an average country. In addition, this special bentonite clay is like a magnet, if you will, to bind toxic compounds, herbicides, pesticides, and actually metabolic products from our cells. That the liver is the source to reduce these toxic molecules. Well, this supports that. And it's a long story about how if you can touch or smell a chemical, that it's absorbed in the lungs and then the serum is taken and stored in fat stores. And if you lose weight rapidly, you can have what is called, and I had great questions about this until I had some experiences, a toxic cleansing syndrome, that when you lose weight, this very slowly absorbed toxin is released rapidly. And this presence of this bentonite clay can bind these toxic molecules and reduce the allergic symptoms. And that's a very important component in New Eden. Now, we talked about the humic acid or the humate. The humic acid is when it's solubilized, and that humate is a source of 70 trace minerals. We presented how these trace minerals are a small part of the structure of many bioactive molecules. And for example, hemoglobin, which is a large complex organic molecule, does not carry oxygen without iron being present. Well, this is true of many compounds, as I showed you in a previous lecture. And we provide this as we have a book from Russia where very detailed analysis of cells was made, and that these minerals are very low in amounts, but primarily present in the final stage of cellular synthesis in the Golgi. And it's very important to properly have these molecules, trace molecules available to properly synthesize bioactive compounds. And that the humate was layers of plant material that grew in the age of volcanoes that were producing ash over the surface of the earth, and the plants had optimal access to these trace minerals. And these layers of minerals that make humate is why it's in the dietary supplement. Then we have put hemp seed in the thing, and originally, as it was done primarily for political reasons, because of the political action committees and how they were able to change the law to allow hemp seed to be cultivated and the industry developed. But in addition, we found out if you Google or do PubMed for health benefits of hemp seed, you'll find it contains essential amino acids. It's very high in arginine, and these amino acids are in ideal ratios for what works in the body. There are also essential fatty acids, omega-3, 6, and 9, and other fatty acids that are important in cellular synthesis. Also, hemp seed have minerals of magnesium, potassium, sodium, sulfur, calcium, iron, and zinc. Another source of, and they're in the organic phase, which is important. And the vitamins, it has the hemp seed have vitamin E, B6, riboflavin, niacin, thiamine, and folate. Also, the hemp seed are high in fiber, which is good for the GI tract to keep the lumen distended, and it helps a sense of fullness, to reduce the appetite, to reduce weight, which is a big problem in developed countries. And also the healthy bacteria in the large bowel like this fiber that comes from hemp seed that contribute to the benefits of health. So the hemp seed have antioxidant molecules, anti-inflammatory molecules. It's neuroprotective. It's a benefit, particularly in autoantibody diseases, which there are over 80 syndromes. It's involved in the RH problem and pregnancy. And a very common one of these autoimmunes is its benefit in lupus erythematosus. The hemp supports the cardiovascular system. It's beneficial to the skin, which is the largest organ in the body when you consider the amount of tissue that's dermis and epidermis. And it supports immune system function, all from hemp seed, which is in the New Eden. Now, in addition, we have cherry tart powder to cover a lot of the benefits that come from vegetables and fruits, because the cherry tart industry received a cease and desist letter from the FDA that they had put on their label, see our website for the health benefits of cherry tart powder. I was amazed at the long list of the benefits that covers multiple fruits and vegetables just by having the cherry tart powder. And when the FDA attacks a company saying you've informed the public of the health benefits, therefore you've made it into a illegal drug, they threaten the company that they either fine them or even shut them down if they don't cooperate with them. And so this is the reason cherry tart powder is in New Eden. But it's one of its big benefits. It contains an enzyme that converts xanthine to uric acid, and it helps excretion of the health challenges that uric acid can cause, particularly in the tendons and joints. If you Google the health benefits cherry tart powder, you'll find over 70 benefits this powder has to bind toxic molecules. By putting the cherry tart powder in, the list of benefits on PubMed and Google is so vast, it's not necessary to put multiple fruits or vegetables to foster phytonutrient health benefits. So the lesson of this was, looking into it, when the FDA attacks a company, it must be doing a great service to the public and have very beneficial natural benefits through nutrition. And that is why tart powder is in New Eden. In addition, we have N-acetylcysteine, cystaine. Now, this is a critical molecule in the synthesis of glutathione. Glutathione is a molecule that is made inside the cell that provides at least 60% of the free radical scavenging and the antioxidant reduction problems that particularly the mitochondria taking glucose and making ATP. reduces toxic molecules that you don't want these radicals attaching to intracellular membranes. It'll alter their function. And the worst thing is for these free radicals to attach to DNA or nucleic acids in the genes, because it alters the information that that molecule carries. And it has, you can see there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbons and a nitrogen and 3 oxygens. And importantly, it has a sulfur-hydryl group, that's sulfur plus H, which is very active in binding to toxic molecules. And the glutathione is particularly active in the what I call the good housekeeping phase of cellular life. At this S1 phase in the life of a cell, the genes are turned on to balance everything inside the cell. The hydration level or water level, the electrolyte levels, the hormone levels, everything is attempted to balance or establish. Homeostasis is the term that the founder of human physiology, Dr. Hans Selye, called this status. And glutathione produces about 60% of this, and it's very active in recovery from fatigue, from excess alcohol intake, the lack of sleep, or any of the metabolic stresses of different diseases. And it's very beneficial in control of glucose metabolism. We don't use the term diabetes, that's a disease term, and other chronic illness states. What is the usual source of cysteine? Well, it's in cruciferous vegetables. And in the developed countries, particularly Europe and the United States, we're not great on our intake of turnips, broccoli, cabbage, kale, cauliflower, radishes, vegetables that have sort of a bite due to this sulfur molecule. And no matter what you do, you can't get kids to eat these type of things. And so by providing N-acetylcysteine, which is naturally present in these cruciferous vegetables, you support balance in cellular metabolism, the activity of glutathione. So this is a real benefit in the American diet. In addition, we have inositol hexaphosphate. Now, inositol is like one of the nucleuses of the saccharides or the sugars that are in chains to make carbohydrates, but it's very important that it's an alcohol derivative because it has 6 phosphate molecules attached to each of the carbons, as we see over to the right. And a sugar cannot enter into cellular metabolism until it has been phosphorylated. So this is an organic source of phosphates to facilitate the body and the cell's use of the monosaccharides or sugar units that are an essential part of the structure of bioactive molecules that carry on the biochemistry and physiology of life. And there are many books and articles written about the value of inositol, and you can Google or PubMed inositol and see the incredible benefits from independent sources. In addition, we have in the New Eden citric acid, and it's there as an organic molecule similar to ascorbic acid that is part of the structure of vitamin C complex, that it's an antioxidative property. what do we mean? Nearly everyone knows that peanut butter or mayonnaise and different oily substances become rancid with the 21% oxygen that's in our atmosphere. And unfortunately, inside the body, we don't call it rancid, we call it oxidation. And this citric acid reduces the tendency to form oxidized molecules, that they are changed to the reduced state to contribute electrons into the molecules rather than to be oxidized. And so this stabilizes the various ingredients that are present in the New Eden to keep them in the reduced state, such that they can contribute electrons and reduction state inside the cell. In addition, we have, because it's so nutrient dense, blueberry powder in the New Eden. And this is a high source of vitamin C, vitamin K, and manganese. And it is of the berries, it's good to include in your diet many different types of berries, but no berry is more beneficial than blueberries, and that's why we have it. And it's an antioxidant and free radical binding capacity that is typical of berries. In addition, we have cordyceps mushroom, and this is a major oriental mushroom powder that in the Japanese literature has been found to be active to reverse kidney disease. In fact, in oriental medicine for decades, it had been used in people with kidney disease, and they did modern scientific analysis and studies and found out that it generates stem cells that renew cells in the kidney. It also supports the heart and the cardiovascular system, and it reduces oxidized LDL, and that's low density lipoprotein cholesterol. And I say that L stands for lethal. And so you want to reduce the LDL cholesterol in the body, and this mushroom's active in that. It reduces inflammation. It reduces the need for insulin in type 2 diabetes. It has been used to reverse low white count in humans, particularly after successful chemotherapy that has suppressed the bone marrow. It has been shown in tissue culture and small animals to slow or reverse malignant cell growth or tumor cell growth. The cordyceps increases oxygen absorption, and it can increase athletic performance by more strength, endurance, and more rapid recovery from fatigue. Try to make this mixture taste a little better, we use natural lemon essence, and we try to stay away from any particularly strong flavor, because people have such personal desires and abhorrence to different flavors. So we try to just have the kind of the sparkle of lemon, of a citrus taste. It's not all that strong commitment. Now, again, I'd like to say about the New Eden formulation ingredients that this is disruptive technology. It's very old. It's not a new idea by far. I have told you in the introduction that in Ezekiel 47:12, in the Hebrew scriptures from about 5,000 years ago, they speak of the fruits and vegetables for nutrition for the man, and it ends with the leaves of the trees shall be for, depending on the translation, a drug or a medication or medicine or healing. This is repeated from about 2,000 years ago in Revelation 22:2, where they talk of the water flowing beneath the throne in the Holy of Holies in the temple, out down the streets and into the rivers that provides water to the gardens and orchards. And it ends with the leaves of the trees shall be for the healing of the nations. It's awfully hard to get ahead of Ezekiel and Revelations in terms of this ancient insight and observation. Now, Paracelsus, the most noted person in world history from Switzerland, is credited as being the father of Western pharmacology. That gives his birth date from 1493 to 1541. Over 500 years ago, he left the statement, all man needs for health and healing is being provided by God in nature. The challenge of science is to find it. And of course, that's the trail that I've been walking along over and over again, thinking I have found something new. And as I've showed you in these quotations, it's long before I came along this path that other people had observed. Now in Texas, from 1893 to 1998, we had a giant in biochemistry training by the name of Roger J. Williams at the University of Texas, where he founded a foundation, and he wrote 12 books on nutrition. His story of his life is very interesting, how he came to recognize the power of nutrition in good health and restoration from diseases. But in his book, Nutrition Against Disease, published in 1971, which is about 50 years ago, rather than the 500 to 2,000, 5,000 years ago. In the modern era, he authored 10 books on nutrition. And in this book in 1971, in the first chapter, he says, all my books and my 40 plus years of research can be summarized in a single sentence. Quote, the human body heals itself and nutrition provides the resources to accomplish the task. Well, I am just a common person like you that has gone along this path of many very capable people, decades and millenniums before me, in this 35 years that started out with a focus on conventional middle of the road science and medicine. I can only add to Dr. Williams' statement of what I have observed and put together from all these people and tried to incorporate into the ingredients that are in New Eden, that all biochemistry and physiology for all body cells and systems require optimal nutritional support of cellular synthesis of bioactive compounds. Nutrition supports the normal, and I want to emphasize normal over and over. Normal balance, or the homeostatic zone within the cells for good health, and that no treatment or cure of abnormal health is claimed whatsoever. It's only normal nutrition that's optimized to support normal gene function that controls normal synthesis of the cells of normal bioactive compounds that produce the normal state of good health. With that, I think we have come to the end of the presentation, and I hope that I have gotten across to you that one of the ultimate freedoms that we have as individuals is to determine what we eat, how much we eat, and what the choice is. No government or outside force can really alter that, and by very intelligent and knowledgeable base of information, you can reduce the need for very expensive modern pharmaceuticals, taking members of the family to a doctor or clinic. If you have to go to the hospital, you may have expenses that it will take the rest of your career to cover. And God help you if you happen to end up very long in intensive care unit, because that can run several $1,000s a day, and you can't make enough money in a lifetime to recover from such expensive for health restoration that modern science provides. I call this in two titles for people of faith. I call it God's plan for health and healing. And what I mean by God is the mysterious, unanswered power in the universe for creation, organizing, and designing of plant and animal life in our bodies of the universe. Just how did all this come about? Well, there's no question that each of us is evidence that there is a creative and organizing and designing power in the universe. Just the nature of it, what it is, has been one of the biggest mysteries man has faced since the beginning. For the secular individuals, I call this personal, preventive, and interventional health management. And it's based on comprehensive nutrition to provide for the cells in your body what the DNA code calls for in cellular synthesis of amino acids, fatty acids, sugar units, vitamins, minerals, elements, and phytonutrients to make compounds to produce optimal health.